Yeah, well, that's all right. I'll go to his Daily Hawaiian.
Okay, 1 minute.
After your first and second breaks, I want something to say.
First and second? You got it. I always say that, and then I forget, so I'm trying to come up with better ways to remind myself. Jay. He has an announcement, and then I just forget. He's back there. Curse ass.
Don't pound the table.
Don't pound the table.
Or the window.
He gives me the sign, Sorry, boss. Just doing the best I can. Yeah, there's 403. Everything is good. Oh, it's going to be such a good show today. I'm excited.
Yeah.
You're such a well-qualified guest. Thank you for tuning in to Think Tech Friday, the show about science, technology, and things that matter to Hawaii. I'm your host, Attila Seress. Today, we have a very special guest, Mark McGuffie, Managing Director of Enterprise Honolulu, Oahu's Economic Development Board. But before we forget, the number to call in with questions throughout the show is 296-5467. That's 296-5467, and our shows are also being live streamed on a bunch of different places, such as Spreaker, on iHeartRadio, on Ustream, and Justin TV. But if that's all too much for you to remember, just go to our website, thinktechhawaii.com. That's ThinkTechHawaii, Hawaii.com. And you can go there and listen to our shows live over the internet and even tune in to see the video of this program. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mark. I really appreciate you coming down.
You're very welcome, Attila. It's my pleasure to be here.
Well, would it be okay if I introduce your bio here? It seems you are a very well-qualified person to help our industry here. Mark McGuffie is a practitioner of servant leadership, and he cares for Hawaii and across the seas. He is a current managing director of Enterprise Honolulu, the Oahu Economic Development Board, and he connects individuals and organizations locally, nationally, and internationally, and really focus on the areas of astronomy, aerospace, biotechnology, and blue economy innovations, environmental system design, food and energy security, education, and even workforce development. And even though you have over 35 years of international luxury hospitality experience, you maintain affiliations with ZERI, the Zero Emissions Research and Initiatives, Intergenerational Partnership Task Force, the Steering Committee for Hawaii, IUCN 2016, Friends of the Future, Economic Development Alliance Hawaii, Hawaii Aerospace Advisory Committee, and you're also the founder of the Hawaii Island Leadership Series. And it's a privilege and an honor to have someone who's doing so much to take a little bit out of their time to come join us on Think Tech.
Well, that was a mouthful.
Well, you're the one who's actually doing it. So, why don't you tell me a little bit about this small article you picked up in the paper today? You brought it in for us to show.
Yes, in just under 2 weeks from now, we'll be leading a delegation again back to Bio International, which is the world's largest biotechnology conference. Mm-hmm. It'll be held in Chicago this year. And this morning's paper, as you mentioned, one of the companies that's joining us, that's gone for many years now and joined the Hawaii contingent, is Hawaii Biotech. And the headline receives rights to vaccines. And it's about Hawaii Biotech acquiring back their rights on from the pharmaceutical giant Merck on a family of patents for the West Nile virus.
Wow.
Against the West Nile vaccine. So it is great to see Hawaii-grown companies accelerating and doing fantastic work worldwide. So,
And so this, these rights, how is that going to change things here for us?
well, I think that the bio conference that we're going to, typically it's between 15 to 20,000 participants from about 65 countries. And we're in the process right now for the next couple of weeks finalizing one-on-one business meetings for all the companies joining us. And many of them are international meetings. And so we're looking to increase the export opportunity out of Hawaii, whether it's IP or because we're not a manufacturing state in the traditional sense. Most of the technology that is exportable out of Hawaii is intellectual property. So this is a clean tech industry, and we're very, very supportive of the progress and helping our companies grow.
And it sounds to me like this announcement in the paper comes at a perfect time.
It certainly does.
Right before the conference.
Right before the conference.
And this conference, this is the Biotechnology International Summit in 2 weeks in Chicago. And you said it was the biggest one, is that in the world?
In the world, yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And it rotates. It's not always in Chicago. It was in Boston last year. And, so we've had much success in the past of attending. It's really driven for making these relationships, the business relationships. And a lot of the work goes on before arriving on the floor, not to take it for chance. So it's establishing the connections beforehand is critical.
And what do you hope to gain by going there? I mean, obviously you're going to try to bring in some more partnerships from abroad, but is there anything particular you guys are honing in on with your organization?
Well, yes, there are 6 main companies, as well as our friends from economic development boards on Maui and Hawaii Island are joining us, as well as university and DBET, the Department of Business and Economic Development and Tourism. This was actually supported and funded by, or partially funded by, an SBA grant, Small Business Administration grant, federal grant that DBET was awarded, and they contracted the Economic Development Boards as our HUI, our group, Economic Development Alliance of Hawaii. We're in alphabet soup here. So, but the organization of the work that we do on the ground is working closely with our companies and helping them get to a place that they may not be able to afford normally. So this is really helping them not only get to the conference, but also setting up business meetings.
And I notice here in your title, you're on Oahu's Economic Development Board. Are there other development boards throughout Hawaii?
Yes, there's one in each of the main counties, the 4 counties, all private nonprofit organizations. And collectively, all 4 of us sit on a board, which is the Economic Development Alliance of Hawaii.
And that is what you're going to be representing in Chicago in 2 weeks?
Correct.
Oh, I see.
And with the purpose of getting our companies, the private companies, to increase their sales through connections.
Well, and you know, I've done trade shows for years. I get it. That's the only way to really do a business-to-business transaction is face-to-face. Usually there's a theme whenever I've done trade shows in the past. Is there a theme for this upcoming event?
Well, it's connect, inspire, and innovate. I mean, those are sort of trite words, I suppose, but it's
Powerful, though.
Oh,
Powerful,
yeah. It is about connections, and you can't just go to the show and expect people to come to you on a whim. You need to work it. And so we have a system that's provided by Bio International to do a lot of the groundwork ahead of time. Yeah.
And what is, I mean, I suppose, what is that groundwork? Do you offer information? Do you provide lectures? Or how does it work?
We have access to all the companies attending, and then through filtering and honing in on the types of companies that the Hawaii companies want to meet, it's up to them to start selecting and then picking up the phone, making emails, making contacts, and then setting up the appointments.
Oh, that's perfect. And I'm guessing this trade show, this is not the first time you've been to it, you know?
This is the fifth.
Fifth.
And actually, the sixth bio event, I went to Bio Japan once. But, this is the fifth national one, international one, sorry.
And what kind of results have you had in the past from going?
Well, again, I think it's not only the exposure for Hawaii, because when we first started doing it, people looked at the Hawaii booth or pavilion and said, Hawaii? What are you doing here?
We're just
Right?
growing pineapples. Why?
Right,
What's the
right.
big deal? Yeah.
So there wasn't really a connection at that time, and everybody would smile because it's Hawaii.
Right.
But getting over that stigma of doing business in Hawaii, it was very important to be there. If you're out of sight, you're out of mind. So the presence was the first steps, was to establish that yes, we are serious about doing biotechnology in various fields. We have, if you look at Hawaii as the entity of the state, our location on the planet, we're one of the most biodiverse locations, most remote locations. And so there's a lot of interest in the unique ecological system here, our endangered species, we're endangered species capital of the world. So how do we look at science and discovery of systems that we have in our natural environment that can help scientists translate that into helping for health? And so that's now starting to grow in interest, and hence we have over 120 biotech-related organizations now in Hawaii. So to answer your question, it was first of all to say we're here, and then why and who we are, and now it is demonstrating that we have, you know, serious companies here.
And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. When we get back, we're talking with Mark McGuffie about new prospects for biotech in Hawaii. Stay tuned. We'll be back after the break.
760 KGU.
Part of the Wall Street Business Network.
You're up after the
It
break.
looks typical so far. No major
After the break.
problems. The last accident was over on the upper
I'm
windward
remembering
coast,
this time.
Kamehameha Highway in
I'm gonna put something out of
Laie.
place.
Drive over to the windward
So
side is good. No problems to Hawaii.
Yes.
Going west, the
Yes, two
H1
announcements.
slows at the Hickam curb. The Moanalua slows at Moanalua Gardens. Inbound traffic from the west
No, that's
slows
really-
as you
I was
approach
kinda-
the Middle
I was
Street
about to
merge on
ask if
either
there was
freeway.
any,
Inbound traffic from the
any,
east slows at the
success
Kapiolani
stories.
Boulevard exit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that
Whole
would be
bunch.
awesome. 'Cause I'd really like to.
Well, the Hawaii Biotech is one right there.
Well, but of a company that's won some sort of partnership.
Yeah,
with
True Tag came last year, but they're not coming this year, but they're working on, and I can't divulge, well, they're working on a very big deal right now.
True Tank.
True Tag Technologies, yeah. And then Cardex, David Watermall, Tissue Genesis. I mean,
Oh, right. That was.
there's a whole bunch here.
Where did I? Oh, I didn't print that one out. Oh no, I did.
So we'll talk about the success stories of these companies. Yeah.
I have a real positive angle I try to do.
Yeah.
I like to keep things on a positive.
Yeah.
You know, like just really exciting kind of positive note. I just, you know, sometimes we get people in here who've worked for the state and they're very frustrated. This is a good hour for them to get it out. Good 1 hour therapy. And I just, you know, I think that there's a good and bad side to that. which is that you get it out there.
ThinkTech Hawaii is a Hawaii nonprofit
So
corporation
this is
organized in the year 2000.
I like to look
Its purpose is to raise public awareness about the importance of technology, energy, agriculture, and globalism to the diversification and expansion of our economy. We do this by television shows on community television and on OC16, by newspaper articles, and by our ThinkTech radio series on KGU 760 AM. We also do it by panel programs and events, including our monthly luncheon programs with the Hawaii Venture Capital Association. ThinkTech, working to raise public awareness in Hawaii. Check us out at thinktechhawaii.com.
They can hear and see us.
ThinkTech Radio is also brought to you by InmoB. Since its inception in 2007, InmoB has grown to become the world's largest independent mobile advertising network, serving over 100 billion mobile ads to date. It has built its product in parts of the world where the mobile phone is not just a screen, it's the only screen. After launching in the US and Europe in 2010, InmoB has more than doubled its global network from 7 billion to 60 billion impressions monthly, and has offices on 4 continents, in Bangalore, Johannesburg, and London, in Nairobi, New York, and Paris, in San Francisco, Seoul, Singapore, and Tokyo. InmoB.
That's my last trade show. So. We're back, we're live, and you're listening to Think Tech Friday. I'm your host, Attila Seress, and here with our guest, Mark McGuffie. And we're talking about new prospects for biotech in Hawaii. When we last left the conversation, we were talking about the world's largest biotech conference coming up in Chicago in 2 weeks. And it is going to be in Chicago, and it's called the Biotechnology International Summit. But before we forget, Jay Fidel has an announcement for us. Take it away, Jay.
Yeah. To go further on your comments earlier, Attila, remember that ThinkTech live streams all of its talk shows live on the internet. We put streaming video on Ustream and streaming audio on Spreaker. If you want to catch us live, those video and audio streams are available and easy to find on our website. Check them out on thinktechhawaii.com. Remember also that we have a gallery for a live audience in our downtown ThinkTech studio here at Pioneer Plaza. You can come down and be a member of that audience. And people do. You can pose questions to our guests and you can participate in the discussion. So to reserve your place in our studio audience, write to me, Jay Fidel, jay@fidel.com. Thanks, Attila. Back to you.
Oh, thank you, Jay. And yeah, for those of you listening online, we do appreciate your patronage, and please continue to listen in online every week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for our Think Tech series. But back to our discussion, we were talking with Mark McGuffie. And we're talking about this new symposium that's coming up in Chicago. And during the break, we were talking about some of the success stories that have come out of it. I'm really excited to see. We have a long list, but we have everything from these, you mentioned it was Cardex, they were doing tissue generation. We had TrueTag, they were working on some sort of larger deal. And obviously, you can't discuss many of the details that have happened, but I am interested to hear about some of the success stories that have come out of collaborating with other mainland companies internationally or nationally, and how that's helped the state and created jobs and made us a more attractive place for biotech.
Yeah, that's what we're looking for, success stories. So TrueTag, you mentioned, TrueTag Technologies is a couple of years old. It was developed with Hank Wu and his companies, and Peter Wong came with us last year to Bio in Boston, and is now working on a very large deal to take this commercially. And TrueTag is about micro or nano tech use of identification on in the pharmaceutical market to counteract fraud in for drugs sold on the shelf.
Oh, I see.
And it has other opportunities in the food business and a few other things, but it's really starting to take off. Hawaii Biotech, which we talked about just a minute ago. And the companies that are joining us this year is LOI Pharma, HNU Nanopoint, NanoPoint was originally started under OceanNet and spun off.
really?
Yeah, spun off, and now Dan O'Connell is now the CEO, and they have 5 people coming to Bio just from NanoPoint on the HNU photonics systems. Noni Biotech from Maui, Pono Pharma, a company run by Dustin Shindo, and Tissue Genesis, which has been in Hawaii for over a dozen years. They're doing great work in regenerative medicine.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
It's very complicated, I know.
Yeah, and I'm not a scientist. Sorry, I hit the mic.
Oh, that's fine.
I'm not a scientist, so I don't want to go into too much details, as you said.
Oh, that's okay.
But just on the, I have a layperson's view, but it's really exciting, as you said, that these companies are spawning out of Hawaii. Yeah.
And I mean, would you agree that Hawaii is a great proving ground for new technology?
Most definitely.
And we can take, and we have that unique environment here where we can see if it works. And kind of like the EVA smart grid on Maui. It's going to be the first of its kind. And then once it works, we'll take it to the mainland.
To
right.
scale, right, to scale up. And then, with the advent of the opening of the University of Hawaii Cancer Center this year, over $100 million facility, with clinical trials now being set up with a joint venture with Queen's Medical System. Very, very, very strong. It's called the UH Cancer Consortium. The College of Pharmacy, which was started only a few years ago, they've graduated their first class a couple of years ago. The demand for enrollment at the University of Hawaii Hilo College of Pharmacy is unbelievable. So it's the only one that provides in the Pacific Basin a doctorate in pharmacy. So we're starting to hit the world stage in this arena. Again, as I mentioned, we're not in mass manufacturing business, but the intellectual property aspect is very, very powerful here.
Well, it sounds to me you touched on an interesting point, that our university systems are also being improved. Our education systems our higher learning education systems are being improved because now we have these opportunities for people who once graduate from these schools to be able to step out into the working world.
Into good paying jobs too.
Without having to leave.
Right. And Japson also in Kaka'ako is also a world-class facility. So we have a lot of great things from the education infrastructure to support and now these new entrepreneurial companies that are being born. But we've got, Hawaii Biotech is the oldest biotech company in Hawaii. I've forgotten how long, but it's over a dozen years or so. And Tissue Genesis as well. So as a saying, Hawaii's biotechnology developing a blueprint for health. This is all about how do we get healthy as a community, as a state, and to help the world.
Well, and there seems to be a trade-off also. I mean, if you come up with, like it mentions here with Hawaii Biotech, the only West Nile virus vaccine in clinical studies is here.
That's it.
So if we do that much good to others, then they can reward us as well. Maybe financially, maybe they can give us the recognition that Hawaii deserves for being a place for this kind of innovation. And it sounds to me like you're right at the forefront. You're the one who's spearheading this operation.
Well,
so don't get hit by a bus. That's my.
I wouldn't call me at the forefront of the technology, but we're certainly helping where we can to bring Hawaii forward in front of the world players. Yeah.
And you're doing that not just with this upcoming event, but we mentioned here that there was also an Asia-Pacific Management Summit coming up, and a Trade Winds Asia. This is so cool. Why don't you tell me a little bit more about these new upcoming events that you're going to be promoting Hawaii, or where you're going to be promoting
Definitely.
Hawaii.
TradeWinds Asia is the next one up right after Bio. That's in South Korea, and it's a mission to, again, bring Hawaii companies to help them export. And this is in conjunction with the U.S. Commercial Service. And again, it is thanks to a grant in part by SBA, Small Business Administration, granted this through DBET and to the Economic Development Boards. And I happen to be leading this delegation. And we're working with 8 companies right now to go to Korea. And they have to go through a rigorous assessment process. And again, it is the same thing. It is not by chance that they're there. All the meetings will be scheduled before they get there. So building those connections, those relationships, is what it's about. It's not necessary, in trade shows, sometimes they're viewed as looking at widgets and ideas. It's really about the relationship, and making those connections only happen, as you mentioned, face to face, and understanding why they want to know about your technology or your business plan, your business model. So TradeWinds Asia is first time for us in Hawaii to go collectively, and so that's May 12th to 15th, and then the focusing on something closer to home is in September. We have the Islands and Isolated Communities Congress, which is in conjunction with the Asia Pacific Clean Energy Summit. We've had the summit for this will be the 5th year, and last year we decided that it was important that, because of where we are, islands in particular and isolated communities have unique challenges in dealing with systems, whether it's energy, water, even disaster management. We are, just our nature, we're away from things.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look back in time and history, Hawaii was unique in its innovations. It's the most isolated archipelago on the planet, and thrived prior to industrial revolution and industrialization. And it thrived for various reasons. And what we need to look at is some of the wisdom from the past melded with modern technology on how we can improve our environment and quality of life, and prosper in a economic sense. And so this emphasis.
This is on it. And I mean, what kind of, I see on this flyer, we have clean water, we have agriculture. We're going to talk a little bit more about that when we get back from the break. I really want to talk about this.
Yep.
Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Attila Seress, here with Mark McGuffie, and we're talking about new prospects for biotech in Hawaii. All right, stay with us. We'll be back after the break.
760 KGU.
Part of the Wall Street Business Network.
See, I think it would be cool to talk about the past, where we've done that.
There's one new accident. It's in town on Kalakaua between King and Phillips Street. No problem so far going east to Hawaii Kai, and the drive over to the windward side is good on the Pali, the Like, and the H3. If you're going west, the H1 slows at the Eva end of the airport viaduct. The Moanalua slows at Fort Shafter Flats. It's going to be packed until you get out past Sears. Inbound traffic from the west slows at the Middle Street merge.
I'm just trying to gauge, because I can talk a long time on this subject.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
I would love
there's,
to.
several things I wanted to get across.
Okay.
But
Well,
definitely this is a very important one.
so we'll just spend a couple minutes on this.
Yeah.
And then we'll move on to the investment cycle. Yeah, that would be great. I think that would work out well. Because usually we like to go like challenges, which might fall well into the investment cycle. And then we like to end with something positive, the future.
Sure.
So, And then we'll probably finish around 58, 59 after.
Okay.
So that little clock there will say 59. We'll
Great.
start hearing the music. And yeah. And you have another announcement after the break?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Is it going all right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
It's
good.
fun. I will, if you start to fall asleep, I try to wake you up.
Oh, it's more
Honey,
the
if we had
opposite.
installed solar water heating last year, we would have saved about $600 on our electric bill.
Wow, that's like 40 pounds of poke.
Or 15 bikinis.
Or 800 pounds of rice.
Or 200 pairs of slippers.
Or 750 malasadas.
Well, that's a lot of malasada.
Stop.
Solar water is the first step towards big energy savings. With Hawaii Energy's limited time rebate, get solar water heating for about $2,000 and reduce your electric bill up to 40%.
That's a lot of malasada.
Visit hawaiienergy.com/solarwater.
With the Kahiava Wind Farm on Maui and the Kahuku and Kawailoa Wind Farms on Oahu, First Wind is pleased to create clean, local sources of energy powered by Hawaii's trade winds. Understanding our unique environment and host culture, First Wind develops projects that support local communities and provide net benefits to native wildlife, embracing the concept of caring from Mauka to Makai. Hu Kamakani. May the wind blow towards a sustainable future for Hawaii's people. For more information, visit firstwind.com.
We're back. We're live, and you're listening to Think Tech Friday. I'm your host, Attila Seress. We're here with Mark McGuffie, and we're talking about new prospects for biotech in Hawaii. But before we rejoin the conversation, have another announcement here from Jay Fidel. Go ahead, Jay, take it away.
Thank you, Attila. You know, Mark's discussion, it all makes me realize that we got to put things in perspective, and we can't forget where we are, namely in the middle of the ocean, in the middle of the Pacific between the West Coast and Asia. So we're having a program, Think Tech and the Hawaii Venture Capital Association. We call it Hawaii's Growing Financial Connection with Asia and how we can make it grow all the faster. It's on April 25th, a Thursday at the Plaza Club. We want to examine and illuminate Hawaii's bridge to Asia, particularly in connection with its financial connections with Asia from financial people. So come and see Varian Allen. He's an investment manager. He's our moderator. And our panelists are Stephen Connell, Roger Epstein, an attorney, David Day, an international attorney, and Brad Punu, all of whom have years of experience in business and investment and financial dealings with Asia, and they're going to reveal their secrets, illuminate the bridge, and show us how the connection is working. You can sign up for this program on hvca.org, April 25th at the Plaza Club. Thanks so much, Attila. Back to you.
Oh, thank you, Jay. And I think that their secrets will no longer be secret after this event. So everyone should sign up and go see it. When we last left the conversation, we were talking with Mark McGuffie about Islands and Isolated Communities Congress. It's a summit and expo at the Convention Center between September 9th through the 11th. And it's really talking about how isolated communities, need assistance. You know, they have energy dependencies, constrained resources, and vulnerabilities. They're subject to climate change, and global leaders are going to get together and develop solutions and projects from island nations worldwide. And really, the sustainability of our island communities depend on best practices developed in energy and water and agriculture and security and resource management, all these things. And this event is really trying to focus on developing solutions that will help our island people. And as we discussed over the break, if these solutions work, we can roll them out elsewhere. We can scale them up. Isn't that exciting stuff?
That's right. That's exactly the point. I think that, again, this Congress is included, co-located with the Asia-Pacific Clean Energy Summit. The word Asia-Pacific sort of gives a connotation of the area of who should be coming. But islands and isolated communities broadens it worldwide because we have friends in the Canary Islands, Okinawa, Hong Kong, that are facing completely different constraints, but challenges, but also interested in how we work on solutions. And it comes back to relationships again. We've got plenty ideas. It's all how we work through them in our communities, in our governments, with academia and private business coming together. So we've created, and it's online, we've created a website link which takes you to the main website called islandsconnect.com. That's islands, plural, connect.com.
All right, we'll put that on our Think Tech Hawaii website.
And that will take you to this main website, which includes the Asia Pacific Clean Energy Summit and the Islands and Isolated Communities Congress. Within that, we're having call for papers of a Global Island Solutions Challenge. And we've had a lot of interest already. The cutoff for this is May 24th, I believe. And then there will be an assessment of all the solutions suggested, and then presented. The top ones will be selected to be presented at the Congress. The purpose of the Congress is not just to meet and say how great we are and what's the latest thing since sliced bread. It is really to work on how we go forward collaboratively. We have one group, it's called the Carbon War Room. Carbon War Room is funded by Sir Richard Branson.
Oh.
And they are interested in coming with a group to meet other groups, and then at the end of the Congress, create a working group here in Hawaii that will take this forward, as an example.
The Carbon War, and what are they warring for?
The war on carbon, right? So fossil fuel, like Blue Planet Foundation, like a number of organizations that are focused on how do we transform from a fossil fuel-based economy to a clean energy and clean
planet,
future,
yeah,
right?
For our kids, really. I mean,
and the reefs and everything else, because all these things impact our environment, and us included. So I think it's we're going to be focusing on power generation, microgrid and power management, transportation programs, water management, buildings and efficiency, waste management, agricultural management, disaster preparedness and relief, which would then go into resiliency and sustainable best practices, and bringing these things into. So it's going to be a workout, to say the least. And this will be the 5th year on the energy conference. This will be the first year of dealing with the islands aspect, and yet we've got higher interest now with the islands side already. In the first few months of rolling this out.
Do you think that could be due to climate change?
It has a lot to do with that.
Oh, really?
Has a lot to do with all of those factors. And how do we, I think, a couple of years ago, nearly 2.5 years ago, I chaired an event called the World Congress on Zero Emissions Initiatives, and brought leaders from around the world, as well as showcasing who we have here in Hawaii through the university system, our farmers, bringing and looking at the integration of systems between energy, food, health, housing, transportation, waste, and water, those 7 disciplines. And traditionally we have lineal thinking in our system design in the Western model. And I'm not knocking it, I'm just saying that's the way it is, as opposed to integrated. So we deal a lot of these things in silos, and yet the cause and effect is suddenly it's broke. So how do we bring this system thinking, rethinking together? And that's what this is going to be focusing on. And islands have a unique examples of islands on how their systems work, because they're by themselves. And so that's hence the emphasis.
It's like the microcosm. And it's interesting because if you were to look at another industry, the business industry, I guess it's not industry, software industry, that's written for business, that's actually what software does. is that it tries to bring in different parts of the business, billing, accounting, customer service, all into one place, and then create a single product out of it. So it sounds to me like maybe that's beginning to happen on a larger scale. So rather than try to focus on little parts of the business, it's on a large scale. Agriculture, farming, like you said.
Right. I mean, you know, we look at what's happened here in Hawaii. We have so much history of things coming and going. How do we get to the point where it's done in a more inclusive process? And that is hard and painful sometimes, but the end result should be stronger and last longer for the better, as opposed to quick fixes. And too often that's the case. So it is somewhat of a messy process, but I think it's important that we look with expertise. I mean, we're bringing the specialists together that are focused on this. So we're very encouraged about the responses already and look forward to a successful Congress.
Well, I think this is going to be a lot of fun and very informative, and hopefully it's going to make some changes. But speaking of changes, you had some other printouts here you wanted to share. Why don't we talk a little bit about those? I think we've...
Okay. Yes. Well, one of the things is a dear friend of many of us recently passed away, who was a pioneer in clean energy, in sustainability. He was, I knew him since 2001, sort of a mentor relationship, helping him as a young man. He passed away in November. His name was Guy Toyama. And he was a really bright young man, focused on especially clean energy on Hawaii Island, but also for the state. He represented us many times in international areas in Japan, in Korea, in Denmark. And we're holding an event for him in his honor, kicking off the Guy Toyama Memorial Fund at NELHA, at the Hawaii Gateway Energy Center, on April 26th. And for those that would like to either participate, we would love to see you there, or there is a link online that you can go to and find out more information. But we're developing this memorial fund in his name to help raise funds for scholarships for youth that are focused on sustainability and clean energy.
Interesting. So that brings us full circle.
Yes.
Which is because we were talking about those other opportunities that are going to hit us after this event. Anyways, we'll talk a little bit more about that after the break. Stay with us. We'll be right back. This is Think Tech.
760 KGU.
Part of the Wall Street Business Network.
Over on the UH campus, got an accident on Dole Street adjacent to Bachman Hall. The H1 is slow through town in both directions right now. If you're coming in from the west, the slowdown starts at Ola Lane. Coming in from the east, the H1 Everbound slows at UH. The drive east to Hawaii Kai is fine, no problems to the windward side. If you're going west, the H1 stop and go at the west end of the airport viaduct to Moanalua at Middle Street.
Friday, 4 p.m.
At the Hawaii Gateway Energy Center at NELHA on Hawaii Island.
Where's that?
The Hawaii Gateway Center. It's I was the first tenant in it.
Oh, it's in Gateway to Hawaii, that big...
Yeah.
Looks like this?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
That's it.
Okay,
Yep.
got it.
And that's where a guy had his office. He joined me there.
Yeah, he's a pretty young guy.
42.
It's young to pass away.
Yeah. But, you know, the scholarship is going to be developed for the purpose of helping those that are in this arena. And to get there.
So bring that in, and then we'll talk about
See what else.
all the stuff you're working on for the future. Is there any other things you wanted to cover before?
Yes, IUCN.
Checking.
Okay, good.
Another.
So I'll just announce this, and then we'll just jump straight to IUCN, because we're only going to have...
Hawaii, the state of clean energy, is also brought to you by Hawaiian Electric Company, powering the growth and development of Hawaii since it was chartered by King Kalakaua in 1891. Today, Hawaiian Electric and its subsidiaries, Maui Electric and Hawaii Electric Light Company, serve more than 95% of our state, providing reliable electric service essential to our quality of life. The Hawaiian Electric companies are also leading our transition to clean energy. By increasing our renewable energy use and improving energy efficiency, we're reducing Hawaii's dependence on imported oil and in providing a more sustainable and secure future for Hawaii. For more information, visit hawaiisenergyfuture.com. Hawaii, the state of clean energy, is also brought to you by the State Energy Office of the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism. How can we secure a better future for Hawaii? One way is clean energy, and the State Energy Office is steering Hawaii to that clean energy future. Hawaii is rich with natural renewable resources, the sun, the wind, the ocean, and the land, and they are all being tapped to meet Hawaii's clean energy initiatives to generate electricity, create jobs, spur economic growth, and reduce our dependence on imported foreign oil. To learn more, visit energy.hawaii.gov.
I've got to be careful.
We're back, we're live, and you're listening to Think Tech Friday. I'm your host, Attila Seress, and we're here with Mark McGuffie, Managing Director of Enterprise Honolulu, and we're talking about new prospects for biotech in Hawaii. Before we left the break, we were talking about Guy Toyama Memorial Fund. It's a fund that's designed to help those who are here locally who would like to go into the sciences but may not have the funds to be able to do so. And you mentioned that website was guytoyamafund.org. That's GUYTOYAMA fund.org, and you can accept donations there. We'll put that on the website also. And there is an event coming up on April 26th on Friday at 4 p.m. at the Hawaii Gateway Energy Center. That's that big horseshoe-shaped building when you first go into Waikiki.
No.
I got it wrong.
NELHA. Natural
okay.
Energy Laboratory of Hawaii Authority on Hawaii Island in Kona.
Oh,
Keahole.
Oh.
Yes, it's the Hawaii Gateway Energy Center, which is a LEED Platinum building designed by Ferraro Choi and Associates. It was the first LEED Platinum building in Hawaii.
What is a platinum building?
Well, LEED is leadership in environmental engineering design, or engineering and environmental design, whichever the acronym is. But it's a certification of really stepping up on the quality and the commitment for environmental conscious design, if you will. Yeah.
So we've moved beyond little hobbit barrows where we bury into the ground and have a round door. We've evolved. Yeah.
They're very environmentally conscious too. But yeah. Anyway.
Well, before we run out of time, I really wanted to talk about this IUCN. That was the
International Union for Conservation of Nature.
Oh, fantastic. It sounds like a lot of people would be interested in that.
Well, the membership is 11,000 members and they're scientists. And so we're on Think Tech Hawaii here, and which I'm glad to be here. This is a delegation of us were in Jeju, Korea last September to make it known to the World Congress organizers of the IUCN that Hawaii is interested to host the next event in 2016. This has to go through a tremendous amount of approvals, and through the United States has to be the host, and Hawaii is the logical location to host it as far as we're concerned. But it has to come from the United States, either from the President or the Secretary of State.
Really?
Yes.
Ooh.
So the IUCN is accepting letters of interest from the nations that are represented by IUCN. to host the next Congress. And Chipper Whitman, who's president and CEO of the National Tropical Botanical Garden, has been spearheading as the chair of this effort for the last 4 years. And we're in the last stages, and we're looking forward to working on this to attract IUCN to Hawaii. What does that mean regards to bringing 10,000 scientists here for 2 weeks? I think would mean a lot economically, just for the meeting itself, but it puts us on the world stage again in all of these areas of sustainability. We're talking about the biodiversity story again in a huge way. And so our fingers are crossed. We're praying and looking forward to being considered. And if not this time, maybe next time. But we really have a dedicated team working on this because it's I think is vital for Hawaii to not only be recognized. We have 2 World Heritage Sites here. We have an incredible biodiversity. And as I said earlier, we are the endangered species capital of the world, literally. We have the most amount of endangered species on the list.
Interesting.
Yes.
Why do you think that is?
Well, again, it comes back to our remoteness. We were untouched, if you will, for so long. And so just on Hawaii Island itself, there's over 10,000 species of flora and fauna not found anywhere else.
Oh, I see.
So you start to look at these things, and then the concerns of coral reef degradation, you look at worldwide, I'm talking about. And we have a lot of work to do ourselves, but we also have some great examples to demonstrate and show how our stewardship can help in not only in caring of the land and the ocean, but also technologies that relate to this. So you bring in people like Pacific Disaster Center, you bring in the UH system, you bring in so many different entities come and get involved in NOAA, federal agencies. They're endless. National Park Service. There's so many different entities that touch this subject.
Well, and I mean, if they do come here and we discuss these topics here, what do we hope to achieve? I mean, obviously it would be great to have 10,000 more tourists here, but let's talk about achievement here. I mean, what can we achieve as a small island chain? What can we achieve with having these wonderful scientists come visit us?
Well, I think it's awareness and education. It's outreach. It's understanding who we are, what's here, what we have to offer, which is very rich and very strong. And because of distances, we've been viewed, we're a long way away from many people, 2,500 miles from the nearest continent. So what it will achieve is, I think it will help all boats, if you will. It will rise all boats from academic. We should learn some things about government, and we should learn a lot of things about how this integrates with private industry. So, and community spirit that we have, the aloha that we show, is really
it's unmatched.
Fantastic. Right.
It's unmatched.
Yeah.
And it's great because it's also an opportunity for young people to be inspired, right? I mean, I live in Hawaii. We have this great summit here. We're going to have the world's best scientists come visit us.
We can do so much to engage our youth into this event if it does come here. Likewise, at the Islands and Isolated Communities Congress, the Asia Pacific Clean Energy Summit, we want youth there at these events, because it's not about us fuddy-duddies, I'm talking about me, it's about their future, and they should be engaged in the summit and the congresses.
That's the thing. Science education, it's an investment. I heard this just this morning on the radio this morning.
Yeah.
Science is an investment.
Yeah.
Once you stop funding it, you stopped investing. And I mean, there's a long-term payoff. Just different conversation, but we were talking about the space program. That has inspired a whole generation of people to create new devices that we carry in our pockets every day, and create things that we have in our kitchens every day. I mean, that is so cool, and you miss all that when you cut science. And so this is going to put us back on the map, you hope. That's your big goal, right?
That's one. I think that is right on the head. You hit it right on the head.
And that's why you do this. That's why you wake up in the morning. You say, I want to inspire people. I want to take people to new heights.
Well,
and we deserve it here. We deserve it.
Well, help people be inspired. Yeah, I mean, it's up to you. Is it your choice? And it's pointing the way and helping connect people to those that are inspirational.
Well, and that's the thing. I guess this all comes down to, like you mentioned, President Obama. He's the one who has to approve us for the steering committee for Hawaii, the IUCN for 2016. All we have to do is get that letter, right? That's the next step. And we have kind of an in. We have a little maybe we'll have some pull because he's from here.
Well,
leave it on the wide shot now.
Well, we never know, right?
Right. We leave it in his hands.
Leave it in his hands. That's the right way to do it. And it sounds like you've done a lot already. This is going to be really cool. Well, so just as a little bit of a recap, just a few of those websites. We had islandsconnect.com, guytoyamafund.org. We had the events at on April 26th. We have the Biotechnology International Summit in 2 weeks in Chicago. We have the Asia Pacific Management Summit. So many things that are so exciting. Wish we would have had more time. Mark, thank you for joining us on the program. Really appreciate you being here.
You're very welcome. It's been a pleasure, and we could talk for hours. We got to get going.
We got to get going. But thank you to our Chief Engineer, Jack Waters, Board Operator, Leah Rodriguez, Jay Fidel, whose passion makes Think Tech possible. And we'll be back next Friday. But be sure to tune in Wednesday with Jay for more Think Tech. Remember to appreciate life, do good to others, and have a great weekend. Aloha.
Aloha.
There we go. This time I waited for the sound.
Okay.
Because last time it started going off. Yeah. And so this was perfect. All right. No, I'm really excited. I think
What
this is gonna be
happened?
really cool
What
stuff.
happened with the music?
What was it?
Did you hear the music come in?
I did, yes. And usually I would start to wrap up before that. This time I decided I would wait for the music.
But you don't know when she cut us off, though. It's 5 o'clock now.
Yes.
Leah, are you there?
It's 59 minutes.
Hi, Susan.